Jirasek, and this is my alternate title to today's presentation, also known as the Cheater's Guide to Great Content. I'm a very kind of pedal to the metal, nose to the grindstone kind of person, and I talk a lot about tactics and like actual things that you can use. So I'm just kind of curious to figure out first, how many people here are like actually the people publishing to Facebook, Twitter? Okay. Are you creating that content yourselves? Yes, mostly. Do you work with a team, a graphics team or anything? Okay, some of them. Well, I am from the wonderful Goodman Theater in Chicago, if you've never been there. It's beautiful. We just started our 91st season. So we have been doing this for a very long time. Not social media so much, but producing what great theater should be. We actually have 2 separate theaters within our space, just to give you background. I'm not going to show the space because, frankly, the inside is not very exciting. It's what's on stage that's the most exciting. So this is a slide from The Iceman Cometh, which starred Brian Dennehy, who's a member of our artistic collective, and Nathan Lane, which we produced in 2012. And this was in our Albert Theater, so we are a space of about 850 seats. We do classics, we do comedies, we do a lot of new plays. We're very dedicated to new play development, and also musicals. So this way. This is from, we did the world premiere of The Jungle Book, directed by Mary Zimmerman, which was a fantastic play. Working with Disney was also very interesting for the first time. And we also have our smaller theater, which is the Owen Theater. And this is from the world premiere of Smokefall, which will be coming to MCC soon, and is a fantastic play. If you're in New York, I really recommend you see it, written by Noah Heidel. So, to start out here, I'm going to be talking about a few different types of content that we use regularly, focusing mostly on video, imagery, photography, and editorial content. The platforms that we have and that we focus on, because this is where most of our customer base is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So we have a great staff, and the Goodman Theater has about a $20 million budget, so I don't want to say that we are bootstrapping 100%, but our different departments also serve the entire organization. So we have to really think creatively in terms of what videos we're producing. And we do have an in-house videographer who concentrates on some of our bigger pieces, but posting to Facebook is kind of a nonstop process. So I need more than just the beautiful videos that he can create on a regular basis. But I'm going to show you, for an example, this is a conversation with Bernard White that we just did for our production of Disgraced, which just closed. And this is kind of the classic type of interview that we do with our actors.
My name is Bernard White, and I play the character of Amir Kapoor. I'm a very successful lawyer. I'm the embodiment of the American dream, and I was raised in a Muslim family. I am no longer practicing that faith. I now define myself as an apostate, which means that I've renounced my religion. I'm a person who more than anything loves his wife. And then some things happen. Ayad Akhtar is surely one of the most important American playwrights. It's a work of genius. It's so simple and it's so complex. Why theater is so amazing is that we're all in the room together and we get to then deal with each other. South side of Chicago, please come and see this play. North side of Chicago, please come and see this play. Muslims, please come and see this play, because we gotta talk about these things.
I love that booming kind of thundering thing. So that was done by our awesome videographer, Cameron Johnson. However, I also, we didn't get this video until the production had actually started, because what you saw on there was B-roll, which we have a company that does shoot our B-roll for us, and he also goes into rehearsals and, preview week, gets some footage as well. So, but we start selling tickets several months in advance of by the time the show goes on. And so that's kind of the constant challenge that I'm facing as an arts marketer You know, as opera companies often have things on hand, dance companies that can kind of represent the production. But our productions are drastically different every time they come up. We do 5 on the Albert Theater and 3 in the smaller theater, plus varieties of festivals throughout the year. So we have to think for ourselves what I call DIY video. And you have to figure out what are the assets that you currently have and how can you use them in creative ways. So we have headshots, we have bios, we have often pictures from the set design, which we often have to pry from the production staff, but I'm working on that. We also have you know, different articles that have been about previous productions. So like with Disgraced, for example, because it had been on Broadway and we were actually the first theater company to produce it off Broadway with Kimberly Sr., who was the original director, we kind of went all over the internet and found videos that Kimberly had done and that Ayad had done and used those in our marketing campaign. So this is an example of a video that I made. It's not super exciting, but it is 15 seconds, and which is perfect for Instagram and Facebook, from our last season's production of Rapture Blister Burn. So what I did was I basically went to the meet and greet. Do you guys do meet and greets often with your staff? And I took pictures of the little miniature set. I took pictures of the inspiration board and kind of put it together into this little slideshow. So each one of those things individually is not very exciting, but when you put it together, it kind of gives you a little look into the show and just gets things going, especially at the beginning of your Facebook campaign. I also do want to emphasize that all of this content really works hand in hand with an advertising campaign for Facebook. So especially depending on when the advertising campaign is started, if you don't have a lot of assets, you know, play around with something like this. Another thing that I personally love is GIFs, and Jiffy. If you didn't know this, Jiffy also has a feature where you can take any of the GIFs that they have and export it to like what they call Instagram format. So you basically just say, yes, send this to me, and it'll export a 15-second looped version of that GIF that then you can upload to your own Instagram account or put it on Facebook or use it elsewhere. So it sends you an MP4 format, basically, that you can use in a lot of places. So this is a GIF that I actually made for International Stage Managers Day. So if you ever need a joke or something to get some interest going on your Facebook page, stage managers are very active on Facebook and Twitter and really get like love when they're kind of called out. So I recommend doing that. So there are also programs, which I'll talk about later, that can help you make GIFs. And you know, this is great. You could just put this up on Facebook as is now, because Facebook will actually let GIFs play in the news feed. That was just a very recent change. I think maybe within the last 2 weeks or so, that a page can have them autoplay. So that's exciting. This is also another type of audience testimonials. How many people here do audience testimonials? So you know, they can be great, and people seem to like hearing from other people about shows, but we did this production of Feast, which is by the Albany Park Theater Project, which is a group of really fantastic teenagers in the northern neighborhood of Albany Park in Chicago, who are mostly first generation or second generation Americans, and they write about it's actually one of the most ethnically diverse neighborhoods in the entire city of Chicago and in the entire country. So they basically created a story about food and what food means to their immigrant communities, and we had the very famous Chicago chef, Rick Bayless, who also you might know from MasterChef and other PBS. I think he's on PBS. So he came to see the show, and we actually asked him to do a personal testimony for us. So here you go.
This was one of the most moving, impressive, hilarious shows that I've seen in a really long time. Really well executed. Lots of emotion on that stage. I just wish I could bring everyone I know in here, because everyone would find something in this show that would be incredibly memorable. It's so remarkably delicious, and that's what a feast should be.
I don't really think you could get a better testimonial than that. So we love you, Rick. That was great. And it was really awesome because we shared it on our Facebook page. He then also shared it. He also Instagrammed about the production and tweeted about the production. So finding those evangelists who can be very regionally specific. You know, it doesn't have to be a huge national celebrity, but there are people within your community who can speak to some of these topics that you have in productions, and perhaps inviting them to do a special testimonial like this, you know, could be a great idea. And there's also the power of editing, which makes everything better anyway. So one of the tools that I personally like to use editing is not very fancy at all and was free and was called My Movie Maker, or Microsoft Movie Maker. You can just download this right now probably. And it is super easy. You just upload your various formats for video, and then you can chop it up into little segments. I do this a lot with our B-roll, so you know, sometimes we get a scene that's 3 minutes long. Nobody's going to watch a 3-minute long scene, so I just go straight to the punchline and chop that out and, you know, put that on social media. So I really recommend that anyone who is actually publishing directly to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram have some minor capacity to do video editing on your own computer, because it just frees you up. And you can also do something like the Rapture Blister Burn video, which I did, which is make a slideshow out of all those other things, put a little soundtrack behind it, fade out. You have animations and things. I mean, it's not Final Cut Pro, but it gets you by. Also, if you don't have Microsoft, iMovie, which is even on our phones right now, like I could actually make a video on my phone and about this and, you know, have it edited and pick a soundtrack and everything fairly quickly, and they're really incredibly easy to use. So depending on what platform you have, that's another option. So another thing to think about is imagery. So you don't really have to have Photoshop. I mean, Photoshop is great and has some great skills, but there are other tools out there that are free or low cost that can help you with some of this fast turnout for content that you need. One of my favorites is called befunky.com. This is a free photo editing and collage making tool. There is also a paid $24.95 annual version that gives you more filters and more different kinds of grids and things. But this is super easy, and it's a lot easier than using like Diptyque or anything that is on your phone. You basically just upload any of your production photos, make a little grid, put things in there. You can zoom, you can put filters, all of that stuff. And then it exports it into whatever file size you want. And this is great because actually making collages in Photoshop is kind of hard because it doesn't have like lines for you to just drop things in very easily. So I love this tool. I use it all the time. There's actually this picture right now running as an ad on our Facebook page, which is great for a Christmas Carol. This is another example of a collage where we were just using Photoshop, or not Photoshop, excuse me, headshots. This is our playwrights unit, which is a group of playwrights that we pick every year to work with us during the season, and they workshop new plays and bring their ideas and kind of work together to develop them, because we are very dedicated to new play development. People love headshots, and especially in Chicago, because we're such a huge theater town, people know who these people are. And so you'll see a lot of comments that are like, wow, Christina, go. And you know, that's fantastic. So this really simple collage, you know, has over 300 likes and 84 shares. And yes, it's not really selling tickets to anything right now, but it's really putting the Goodman out there as a leader in new play development. And another important, one of our mission objectives is diversity. And so this was actually the first all-female playwright unit, and that actually made some really big national headlines. So this was a really fantastic thing to be part of. Valentine's Day. Another presentation talked about Valentine's Day. It is a great day to, I actually was home and forgot it was Valentine's Day and was like, oh, I gotta make something really fast. And then I ended up making like a series of 5 of these, which, you know, got a lot of interaction, and I made these again in Be Funky, so nothing too fancy. And my favorite one, though, that I didn't put up here was, are you a script? Because if you are, I'd never go off book, which I like that one. again, we put this up on June 26th when Supreme Court ruled that gay marriage was legal, and it was such an exciting day. This is all that we put up. We didn't put any copy or anything else, and it said over 4,000 likes and 300 shares. I think a lot of other arts organizations did the same thing, and it was really beautiful to just see this rainbow kind of take over all the arts organizations. We got some really amazing comments on it too that are got me all teary about how people supported them at the Goodman, and they were just so happy to see this. So it was really fantastic. And again, really simple. This is just, I actually went out onto our balcony here, took a picture, and then just put those little color things over it. Editorial. So switching into the next part of content. So traditional media is not meeting the needs of the arts industry, so write your own coverage. We actually just had a production, which was very, in our smaller theater, where one of the main critics in the city of Chicago came and then just didn't write a review about it. And we were like, what's going on? And the editor came back and said, well, we just didn't have the space. And you're like, this is a huge challenge for us, because especially with new plays and other newer art forms, you need that kind of critical praise or just review. And the playwrights also need it too, especially for the future of the production. So if the reviews aren't going to come in, what else are you going to do to supplement that? So this year, we actually just launched Onstage Plus, which we had previously done a subscriber magazine, which was printed and mailed to all of our wonderful subscribers, and had really fantastic articles written by our dramaturg and other artistic staff about the plays, really gave great context to it. And we actually Lori Kleinerman, who's our director of marketing, really pushed for this and said, why are we putting this into a printed piece when we can really make it into a digital format? And so we ended up doing this. We are no longer making the printed version, and we actually haven't heard that much pushback from that yet. So basically, we're writing feature articles about the productions, putting them out there, and trying to push this out as what would traditionally be a feature story in a newspaper or magazine. So this just launched. So far, we're getting really good interaction on it. It's mobile friendly, which is very exciting for me. And it's just another resource for me to use these types of articles and put them out into our advertising campaign with Facebook. This is a blog post that I wrote, again, for International Stage Management Day. I forgot that International Stage Management Day was happening. And I sat at home while I was preparing for this presentation. I was like, I'm going to test and see if I can make something go viral just by putting this together. And so I was in Jiffy for a long time, finding some fun GIFs. These are just 2 out of the 10. But I put this blog post up, tweeted it out, and then I also tweeted the individual pictures and individual items. And in the period of a day, we had over 2,500 visits to that blog post. And the other part of this, which you have to think about, is that we are then cooking every single person that is visiting that website, which is our Onstage Plus, who are then going into our remarketing pool, who will then get served up ads on Facebook and in Google Display Network. So it's really a constant cycle. This is another fun thing. We did a tool. How many of you have Playbuzz or have used Playbuzz before? So Playbuzz is basically BuzzFeed, but where you can write your own articles and quizzes, and it's totally free. And they have all of these really awesome, different styled quizzes, and they just unveiled a new product which lets you swipe to vote, so it's kind of like Tinder. But you can kind of go crazy with all the different ways that you can use that. So when we did Rapture, Blister, Burn, I made up these feminist history. I didn't make them up. I researched them, and let me clarify. Feminist history quiz, and we pushed this out in our email marketing. It was a really great way to get people engaged. It also gave you a grade score at the end, because Rapture, Blister, Burn is in a college setting, so we thought that was fun. And people were like, I got an A+. That was a fun thing to see also. So does anybody actually know the answer to this? Which was the first co-ed university in the United States? Oberlin, good job. So yeah, they kind of got progressively harder, and I did one on each wave of feminism. And I also used our dramaturgs for this, because they actually prepare packets for all of the actors and set designers and everyone. And so I just went through their packets and was like, okay, this makes a fun trivia question, and put these together. So here are some other fun tools to use to help to make all this stuff. Google Drive is awesome because they have a great app. And so you can upload all of your production photos, any other fantastic assets that you can just access from wherever you are. You know, say that you have to tweet about opening night, or it happens to be an actor's birthday or something. You can just go straight into your app, pull up the phone, you know, pull out your phone and post something really easily. So I highly recommend to like kind of put a lot of your assets that are things like photographs into the cloud somewhere. Google Drive just happens to be fun and free. Something else that I actually recently discovered is this website called the Graphics Fairy, which for $6 a month, and you can turn it on and off, you know, if you don't want it. They have a fantastic amount of high resolution EPS file formats, JPEG, you know, pretty much anything you want. They're kind of decorative elements. So if you need something for Halloween, you want a scary picture, and you really want to make sure that you're kind of following copyright rules, because sometimes that can be a little scary to get in trouble for that kind of thing. We haven't, but I'm just saying it's a thing that I think we need to pay attention a little bit to, especially if you're using these things as advertising. So just be cognizant of that. But this is a great website that she creates a lot of these images. She finds them from, you know, vintage ads and things, and creates, you know, a whole lot of elements that you can use. This is another one called Death to Stock, which actually emails you cool stock pictures, because you never know when it might be useful to have a picture of a lady looking to the side. You never know. So you could just get this sent to you and have it. And they also have a premium edition as well. This is another one called New Old Stock, which has just it's basically a lot of high resolution, beautiful images of older vintage things. And again, who knows what you could find in there and possibly use, but these are just kind of ideas to look for this type of thing for your own campaigns. Another one that I like, it looks really wonky and like it might be spammy. It's not. It's called GIF in Text, and you basically could take a YouTube video and create a GIF from that. You could upload your own video. You can then put text over it as well. Sometimes, you know, if you're curious, how do you put text over a GIF? You can use this, and it's really fun. One of the other things that I think is really important about this whole cycle of content is to really appeal to your audience to also produce content. And I don't necessarily mean taking pictures, but or, you know, making videos and that kind of thing, because that can be really hard. So this is a post-show email that we send after every performance. At 9 p.m. it goes out. So if your ticket was scanned, you get this, and it thanks you for coming to the play, and it says, please let us know what you thought, write a review on our Facebook. I have to include a reply to this email, because you can't even, I'll tell you, so many people who, even though they get this email, and it's clear that you could reply to it and like talk to somebody, they're like, well, I don't use Facebook, and you know, I only have email. Well, clearly you can email us as well. And tweets, and you know, using our specific hashtag for this production. So, and this has exponentially increased word of mouth. So I really recommend that you take advantage of that. We use Tessitura, and so through Tessitura, this is a capability of creating a custom job that runs through our service of Mail2. I'm sure there are other programs that can also do that, and I don't think it's just for theater companies. I think, you know, museums, even though you don't necessarily do as much ticketed entry kind of things, you should think about ways to do this. So maybe they get it a week after their visit and it thanks them, and maybe it sends them to TripAdvisor, because I know for museums in particular, TripAdvisor is really huge. So something to think about. So this is an example of the type of feedback that we got, and you can just tell that these people are responding because A, they're using our hashtag, and B, they're, you know, giving reviews to their friends. And Lori, again, she always says if there's one thing she can buy, it would be word of mouth. Well, this is all free, so you know, you really want to think about that. Again, Instagram is increasingly becoming a bigger place for people to write reviews, so you should make sure that you're checking out there, seeing if people have added pictures at your location, seeing if they've tagged you, searching hashtags that might be associated with your tagging, and then responding to them and thanking them for, you know, sharing and coming to see the show. So these are my top 10 takeaways. Number one, Take inventory of all the content you currently own. So, you know, if you do have a subscriber magazine and there's articles in it, why not put that same article onto your blog? Number 2, equip your staff with the right tools. So even if it's a free tool that doesn't, I'm going into number 3. Even if it's a free tool, it does not mean that it's poor quality. So that's just something to remember. I think a lot of times we think, oh, we have to pay like somebody a huge amount of money to create something for us, but you don't, you know? I mean, and there's all these smaller things that you can kind of do to supplement some of your nicer, kind of more elaborate pieces of content, like professionally shot videos. Make sure you repurpose your content on your multiple platforms. So, you know, make sure you're tweeting it, find a way to Instagram it, make sure that it fits the right size for Instagram versus Twitter versus Facebook. GIFs are the bread and butter of the internet. I think that they're super fun, and I think that that is something that we can kind of take tabs from BuzzFeed and other places to use. And then let others help brainstorm and create your content. So a lot of times we have people on staff who are very knowledgeable about just random things. So we did a show that was called Feathers and Teeth, which was a horror comedy. Our manager of telemarketing loves horror. You know, he's not somebody who's necessarily going to write for the blog traditionally, but I said, hey, Casey, do you want to write a blog post about horror? And he just flipped out and put together this really great, his top 5 horror movie picks. And, you know, we put the trailers for each of the movies in there, and it kind of got people excited about the show. So make sure you're thinking like, you don't have to have one person providing all the content. You could reach out to people outside of traditional roles who might be able to help you. Never waste a good holiday. Again, Valentine's Day, anything associated with that. You can make a calendar and kind of track some of these. You know, today is also National Chocolate Day, which I prefer over cats. So just in general. So, you know, there's something that I've seen a lot of people doing with that, which could be fun. Make sure you're using a cloud service to store some of your assets that are really handy to use in all these different places. Put your content in your email marketing. I feel like sometimes we forget about that. People love watching our videos, and like we can see that they're watching them because they're clicking on the big picture of the video in our email, or they're reading the feature in our email. So you have to think about the content marketing in all of these different places, including email. And then number 10, please don't lock your awesome comments away in a survey. You don't necessarily have to send them a survey right away. Who wants to fill out a survey right away? Nobody. So I say, you know, really invite them to participate on social media and give you really good feedback. So that's it.